All right, good afternoon, good evening. We are in the Buckeye State. We are at the Ohio State University. For tonight's championship game, we have the number 3 in the nation, Miami Redhawks. They're being hosted by the number 1 in the nation, Ohio State Buckeyes. And tonight, we have a myriad of people here on our broadcast crew. First of all, our cameraman, which you'll catch from our field views, Mr. Robinette. He will be down there doing the broadcast as far as all the video from the corner of the end zone. And then we've got Sydney Alexis, who will be doing our switching and adding her insightful analysis here. And anyway, we've got Patrick and Bill, our broadcast crew. And you guys, I'm going to let you go ahead and get started and take it over. You're truly Rick Phillips. I'll be doing the camera up in what we'll call the press box, even though we're in a tower. We're on the old practice field or new practice field or whatever, the practice field for the Ohio State University Marching Band. This is where they practice. You see all that Script Ohio and that stuff that's practiced right on this field. And this is for club football for tonight's contest tonight. So I'm going to turn it over to our broadcast crew, Patrick and Bill.
Welcome, everybody. This is Bill the Razor Rayback, and I'm joined by Patrick Yen tonight. Patrick, a beautiful backdrop, Ohio Stadium here for what amounts to the Mid-Atlantic West championship game between the Ohio State Buckeyes and the Miami University Redhawks. Looking at them, Patrick, they're both undefeated. And this is, our first go around with this stuff. So what we're finding is that there's been a couple forfeits, but the Buckeyes are 5-0. Miami is 3-0. Miami has scored 92 points on the season and given up none. And then for Ohio State, they've scored 172, giving up only 16. So when you look at it, the raw stats tell you that both teams play pretty good defense.
I mean, absolutely. I just think the talent gap for a lot of these teams, especially since they're bigger universities, just you have a bigger pool of players to draw from, and I think you're really seeing that. And last year, it was basically the exact same thing. It was these two teams playing for the Mid-Atlantic West Division, and OSU did end up winning that game and getting to go to the playoffs.
Right. And as Rick started in the lead, the Buckeyes are currently ranked number 1 in the National Club Football Association, and Miami is ranked number 3. So one of these teams coming out of this will be going on to the national playoffs, which consist of the 4 conference winners, and then eventually after the semis we'll have the national championship game, which is, we're not sure where that's going to be, but we know that the Buckeyes, if they win tonight, or the Redhawks, would be traveling to Cornelius, North Carolina, which is a little bit north of Charlotte. To give everybody a perspective on where that game might be if you want to make plans. The Buckeyes, looking at their schedule, they've beat Oakland, Michigan 41-7. They beat Robert Morris, which is in Illinois, 42-7. They received a forfeit from Wisconsin, Milwaukee. They beat Pitt 41-0. And they beat Wright State last week 46-2, which was seen right here on Campus Nation. With the Redhawks, they have beat Pitt 42-0. They received a forfeit to Eastern Michigan, and they beat Wisconsin, Milwaukee 48-0. So, Patrick, if we look at the only common opponent, if you're a bookmaker, you would say that Miami is a 1-point favorite.
I mean, you could say that. But, I don't know if it's just, shaking off the rust, but technically, even though it wasn't by much, the 2 hardest games that the Buckeyes have played were against Oakland and Robert Morris, who the Miami Redhawks didn't have to see.
Right, exactly. So, and I think the thing that maybe, besides the depth for Ohio State, the thing that could be a huge advantage for the Buckeyes is the fact that they've actually played more games. And when you've only played 2 games in a season and you come in, you're just not going to have the game experience that the Buckeyes have accumulated at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was talking about rust earlier. I mean, technically that rust could still be on these Miami players.
Oh, yeah.
Only have played 2 games,
Right, right.
So I think neither of these teams have really been tested, and I think this is going to be really their first test for either of these teams.
I would agree with you. Keys for victory for Miami is to stop Kellen Garenstein, Madu Nelly and Jeff Green are the three offensive cogs for the Buckeyes. They're going to have to shut those guys down if they're going to have success today.
Garanstein in particular has just been incredibly impressive. I feel like in these types of games, passing is not usually the focus. It's a lot of running, but he can do both very, very, very well.
Right. Keep the Ohio State offense off the field with long drives. If they can maintain the ball, these guys never get on the field. So I think Miami's going to want to try some ball control. And then contain the Ohio State return game, which we've talked about. The young man, Deshaun White, number 13, has 2 kickoff returns this year, both over 90 yards.
I mean, he can fly for sure, and I'm gonna be very interested to see if OSU can try to get him out in open space, just in their normal offense.
Yeah, and you can get it to him in a number of ways: screens, you can run jet sweeps and things, and get him the ball. So you're right. Can Ohio State get him more opportunities and more touches? For Ohio State, I think the fact that Miami's not been scored on, I think the Buckeyes want to score early on them to break that mounting pressure, because the longer Miami goes with the Buckeyes not being on the board, the confidence will start to show in the Miami defense.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I bet these Ohio State players, they know that Miami hasn't given up, and I bet they're betting on who's going to break the egg for them.
Right. And Madu Anelli, Madu, boy, when he gets going, he's a load for the Buckeyes, and I think that the Buckeyes are going to send a steady diet of him towards the Red Hawk defense, which is going to open up things for Garanstein as far as a runner and as a passer, and then force Miami's offense into early mistakes. So, those are the keys for the game tonight, and we're about ready to get going here.
Yeah, one thing I saw in the statistics is that unless Miami has made a change in quarterbacks, throwing really not their game. They love to keep it on the ground. They run it with a multitude of players. So I expect that to be their focus, but I feel like with these club teams, you kind of get some new players, you kind of discover new things as the season goes. Like we said, they've only played 2 games, so maybe they don't know who their starting quarterback is.
And that could be. And I would imagine that they try, in these club situations, there's probably some kind of equal playing time involved with it, because they're all paying some money to be here. And so I'm sure it's not like, varsity football where you keep the same people on the field the whole time. And I imagine because of practice time, too, that conditioning becomes a factor, and that you want to get subs in as often as possible.
Right. I mean, I think, I was looking at OSU's team. I don't know how Miami operates, but they're only allowed like 3 practices a week. Right. So unless these guys are really working out on their off days, exactly like you said, conditioning, and just looking at the numbers, Ohio State just has a lot more players than Miami does.
They do. And, of course, you're talking about one of the 5 biggest universities in the country, so they do have a lot to select from. And I would say this, we made this observation last week. If the Buckeyes win the national championship in this National Club Football Association, I would bet you're going to see a tremendous turnout next year for this club team. And I am sure there's kids walking the buildings here that were really good high school football players that could help this program.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, sometimes, you're a star in your team, but you kind of want to focus on education a little bit more, so you come to OSU, and this is your chance to really come out and show out. And, you get to travel, across the country for these national championship games. Last year, they were defeated in the first round, but you still got that experience. And like you said, the further you go, the more people are going to be talking about you, and the better you become.
Yeah. And, of course, Campus Nation being here only helps that, as we'll be bringing you the action today in the championship game. And we hope to follow the Buckeyes through the playoffs and perhaps in the national championship game a little bit down the road.
I think, it would be very interesting, very cool to see Ohio State's club team take the championship and the actual team take the championship the same year,
They're cornering the market on football there. So today's starters, and we are basing these off of last week, we have number 4, Kellen Garanstein, the quarterback, who's a sophomore. He's 5'10", 175 pounds. He's from Homewood Flossmoor High School in Flossmoor, Illinois. At running back, you have number 39, Madu Anelli. He is a junior, 5'9", 198 pounds, from Harker Heights, Texas. At tight end, you have number 14, Adam Burdak. He's a senior, he's 6'1", and he is from St. Joseph Collegiate in Buffalo, New York. Number 2, wide receiver, Jeff Green. Jeff is a fifth-year senior, and he hails from Eureka High School. Number 13 is Deshaun White. He's a junior, wide receiver, 5'9", 145 pounds, from Canton McKinley High School, of course, in Canton, Ohio. Number 12, wide receiver Casey Scroggins, is a freshman, 6 foot tall, 175-pound wide receiver who is from Huron High School up near Sandusky. Then you have number 40, Dyer Blash. He is the right tackle. He's a sophomore, 5'11", 230 pounds. He is from Akron Buckdale High School. Number 92, right guard, Nick Unkt. And Nick is a senior. He is 5'11", 215. He hails from Hilliard Davidson right here in Columbus. Number 75 is center Ryan Walsh, senior, 6'3", 267-pounder from Grove City right here in Columbus. Number 56 is left guard Andrew Montz. He's a junior, 5'11", 185 pounds. He traveled quite a way to get here. He is from Hemet, California, and he played at West Valley High School. And then number 44, left tackle Mike Fenstemaker. He is a fifth-year senior, 6'3", 200 pounds. He hails from Newberry High School in Newberry, Ohio, where my first head coaching job was when I was a coach. So that's a rundown for the starters for the Buckeyes, and I'm going to let Patrick go ahead on the defense if you want to run down the projected starters.
One thing I noticed a lot when you're talking about the offense is almost all these guys, except for Kellen, are upperclassmen.
Yes.
You know, almost all seniors and juniors. So
a lot of fifth-year seniors too.
Yeah, I have to wonder if a lot of these guys were on the team last year, and that kind of brings that experience that is very valuable.
I would agree.
All right, so on the defensive side, we got number 6, Justin Cooke, who is a 6'2", 210 pound defensive end from from Apex, North Carolina. From Apex High School. Then we got number 9, Victor Mikas, he's a fourth year, 6'5", 205 pounds from Canton McKinley High School. We got the nose tackle Chase Gasser, number 54, who's a junior. He's 6'1", 215 pounds from Norwayne, and that's up in Creston, Ohio.
Mm-hmm. Which is up near Akron for our listeners.
And we got number 33 playing the defensive tackle position, Sammy Ramey, who is a junior as well, 5'9", 230 from Pickerington, Ohio, from Pickerington Central. And on the Sam linebacker, we got Kavion Williams, number 48. He's a sophomore, 5'9", 185 from Thurgood Marshall in Dayton, Ohio. On the weak side linebacker, we got the number 43, Christopher Kress, who's a fifth-year senior, 5'11", 191, Middlefield, Ohio, from Cardinal High School. We got number 50, Xavier Thayer, who's going to be manning that middle linebacker spot. He's 5'8", 200 pounds from Cottonwood Heights, Utah, from Brighton. As our first cornerback, we're going to have Deshaun White again. Number 13, we already mentioned him, 5'9", 145, Ken McKinley. The other cornerback is going to be Casey Scroggins, who's number 12, 6 foot, 175 from Huron, Ohio. We got on the safety side, we got Dewan Seward, who's going to be he's another fifth-year senior, 6'2", 182 from Lawrenceville, Virginia, and Brunswick High School. And the other safety, the strong safety, we got Corey Lackey, number 1. He's a sophomore, 5'11", 195 from Cincinnati, Ohio, from Schroeder High School.
Okay.
And as we mentioned before, the punt and kick returns will be handled by Deshaun White.
Right. And so the Buckeyes, handling the kicking duties for the Buckeyes are punter Lorenzo King, number 15. Lorenzo is from Pordenone, Italy, and they have Aviano Middle, so that was the school that he attended there in Italy.
He's talking about, the guy from California making a trip.
Yeah.
A little bit.
We've got a few of them on here, actually, looking at the Buckeyes roster.
Yeah.
We've got some guys from all over the world. And then we've got, of course, Alexander Strom, number 22. Alexander is from Pickerington North High School, which has had a great
program. Actually.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah,
Pickerington's had a great program recently, and
absolutely,
they have been making runs at the state championship. So, and one thing about Strom, he is 2 for 2 on field goals. He's also 11 for 11 on extra points. So he is perfect on the season.
I mean, you don't even see that kind of kicking accuracy in the actual college game.
No, you don't. So, again, run down a couple scores that we had in Division III. Number 1, Mountain Union 63 and Ohio Northern 24. Number 11, John Carroll 28 and Wilmington 0. That was at halftime. We've got Otterbein 28 and Capital 18.
That's a rivalry game for them.
That's
right?
a big game for them. And then we've got Baldwin Wallace 17, Marietta 3. We have no score on Heidelberg and Muskingum. Dropping down, let's see. A big game in Division II is Notre Dame College, which is in Euclid up in Cleveland. They played Frostburg State. Now, Notre Dame is 8-0, and Frostburg was 7-1. So hopefully we'll have a score at halftime on that. In the Big Ten, you have Purdue 31 upsetting Nebraska with 27, Michigan 38, Maryland 7, and in the AAC, Cincinnati takes on ECU tonight. And the big one in the AAC is number 15 SMU at number 24 Memphis. One of them will eventually play the Bearcats there for the championship in that conference. Other Division I games of interest: Georgia was leading Florida 13-3 at halftime. Kansas State, number 22, fresh off their upset of Oklahoma, will be playing Kansas. And out on the coast starting later will be number 7 Oregon in a trap game traveling to USC. So we are about ready for the kickoff here.
And, to no surprise, it's Deshaun White back there. But as you watched the game last week, and
Yes.
you were telling me that catching the kickoffs is not necessarily his strong suit. It's really running them back. So it's going to be interesting to see here the ball security.
Yeah, I agree. And he is also one, my son is a little bit of a draft, rivals geek kind of kid. Mm-hmm. And he was telling me that Deshaun White was highly recruited at one point by the Buckeyes. So, we know that he has that kind of special talent if you can draw Division I interest. So we'll see how he does tonight.
I'm going to be curious to know if Miami has done their homework because, they have 2 returners back there, and they're both equally deep, right?
Yes.
So theoretically, if you're in Miami, I feel like you know who you should be kicking at.
Yeah, I agree. And Seward, DeJuan Seward, now he's no slouch in his own rights. He's averaging 26 yards a return. So they both are very capable return people.
Man, 145 though, that seems a bit small for
Yeah, it does.
the game, but
And there's the kick, and it's going to be Seward. Seward's up over the 15 to the 20. They've got a little bit of a wall, 25, 30, out to about the 33-yard line, and that's where Miami will start with the ball.
yeah, and that's a solid return.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Yeah, absolutely.
Fields the kick, pretty cleanly as well.
Yeah, he did. And you got a nice bounce off the turf. And that's the nice thing about turf is you can get a good bounce and, gives you a nice running start on it. Now, one thing I noticed about Miami, Patrick, is their defensive front, when I was watching them warm up over there, they are much bigger. At least they're stout. They seem to be bigger than Ohio State up front. And as you had alluded to, that they want to run the ball. So that's probably going to be the strength of their offense is to, get behind those guys. And I imagine most of them play at least some 2-platoon football here.
Absolutely. So, looking out, they're lining up in almost like a 4-4, it looks like.
Yep.
It's some sort of 4-4 defense, which assuming that they really, really want to stop the run and they want to stop Madu and Ellie. So that's going to be interesting to see if that's kind of the alignment they end up keeping out here. But
What we saw of the Buckeyes is we saw 4-2-5 last week, and then we saw Wright State come out in a 3-3-5. And I think those are pretty common defenses with everybody running spreads nowadays. You want more DBs out on the field. So the Buckeyes break the huddle.
And now they've shifted to more of a standard, a 4-3 here. But I'm interested. That's interesting that you said that because definitely more DBs in a normal college game, and I feel like against OSU of all teams in the club game, you want to have more DBs, but they're going to run out here in a pretty much base defense.
Yeah. And maybe they feel that that's what they've been successful. They haven't given up any points, so something's working for them.
That's true.
But then again, have they met someone like the likes of Deshaun White? We'll find out.
Yeah,
Jeff Green.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, the Buckeyes are in a 3-by-1 set at the 33-yard line. They're in an offset pistol formation. Gerenstein gives it off to Anelli. Anelli powers the ball up over to about the 36-yard line, where it'll be about 2nd and 7.
Yeah, kind of a counter move there. You know, the one cut to the right, and then you go up the middle. And like you said, he looks like a handful to get down. I mean, he just runs straight ahead, and he's a big guy.
He is definitely a beast when he's running the football. Anelli, I've got his numbers here somewhere, has 29 carries for 285 yards, a 9.8-yard average, 2 touchdowns. He averages 71 yards a game, so I'm sure you're going to get a steady diet of him. Okay, so we've got 2nd and 7 for Ohio State. Gerenstein gets it. He drops. He looks. A quick out to 14. Adam Burdak, and Adam gets the ball out to about the 47-yard line, and that's going to be a first down, Patrick, for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, and that's gonna move the chains, and you can really see that this club team play like a real team. You know, you got different route concepts at different levels on the route tree, and then you just have a crossing for the tight end and moves the chains.
Yep. And that's the thing. And as you were alluding to earlier about they practice 3 times a week. So, you know, give them credit for being as coordinated as they are with fewer practices than most football teams would have. 2-by-2 set for the Buckeyes. They've got White motions. They give it to Anelli up the middle, and he powers his way up the midfield, and it's going to give the Buckeyes a 2nd and 7 again. And when White came in motion, you've got to be worried about them flipping the ball to him because of his speed.
Absolutely, and I don't know if you saw this last time, but do the Buckeyes operate exclusively out of the shotgun?
Yes,
for the most part.
Yeah,
okay.
We did not see him under center. The only thing that we did see as far as a non-conventional spread formation is they did have 2 backs in the backfield with Gerenstein occasionally, and that was towards the end of the game last week. Okay, so the Buckeyes give the ball to Anelli, and Gerenstein is up to about the 47-yard line of the Red Hawks, and looking at this, okay.
So far, I feel like the Miami defense has done a really good job of staying disciplined and in stopping the run. You know, it's not like these are straightforward runs.
That's a great observation. I agree. They're trying to give some misdirection look, but yet they're just coming right at them, and Miami's up to the task so far.
We read out to you the yards per average of these guys. It's like 9, 7. That's not what they're getting here.
No. A 3-by-2 look. Gerenstein keeps it. He's outside. Nice block by Green, and Gerenstein's down to the 40, giving the Buckeyes a first down. Wow, what a block.
And you love to see the wide receivers going out and getting dirty because, a lot of times the wide receivers, they're like, I'm here to catch the ball, not to block. But, I mean, you saw Jeff Green lay the wood there.
Oh, yeah.
And that's good enough for the first down, exactly what they needed.
And, the thing about that is if you go back to 2014 when the Buckeyes won the national championship, Evan Spencer used to light people up all the time out there at wide receivers, so it's good to see that happening.
You like to see how excited Jeff Green got about it too. He was as pumped as if he got the first down himself.
Exactly. 3-by-1 set for the Buckeyes. Gerenstein, he's going deep. He's throwing it to Green. Green fights him up. He's got it. Down at the 3-yard line, and the Buckeyes are in the red zone real quick there, Patrick.
Yeah, and I think he just identified the mismatch there. Number 8 on the Miami team he's a head shorter than Jeff Green is there. You throw it up, and the height that won that day.
Yes, they did. And the Buckeyes are threatening to end the Red Hawks' unscored upon streak here.
And in the first drive, and we talked about right in the pregame broadcast, then it's very important that they do so.
Yep. You got to establish the tone. 2-by-2 set for the Buckeyes. True pistol formation. And they give it to Anelli. Oh, no, Gerenstein. Beautiful ball handling by Gerenstein.
Did not see that coming.
No, and he did that to us last week, too. He hid the ball very effectively, and Gerenstein with a 3-yard touchdown run, and it puts the Buckeyes up 6-0 at 10:59 to go in the first quarter. And nice drive, Patrick.
Absolutely. And maybe I'm not giving these guys enough credit, but, I mean, that was a perfectly executed read option, It's not the simplest thing to do. You're still reading the man coming in or not, whether to keep or not, and he keeps it there, and he's untouched into the end zone.
Very, very true. And last week Chuck Hale made the observation, Gerenstein saved some errant stats on the extra points, which but he probably should be looking up on the varsity for this because – he can scoop them up off the ground and set them, and that's important, obviously, with the kicking game. So 7-0 Ohio State in the first period. And now we'll see how Miami reacts to this, Patrick, how are they going to come back?
Yeah, I mean, when you kind of get punched in the mouth, so to speak, right off the rip in the first quarter. You got them to 1 3rd down, but that was it, right? And so it's not like they had too much trouble moving the ball against you. It's a lot of pressure on your offense to respond immediately because you don't know how well your defense is going to hold up for the entire game.
I agree. And, hats off to Coach Grega, who has done a nice job there putting that together. They orchestrated a nice drive, and, now they just have to keep it going here for the rest of the game.
Yeah, so taking over the play calling or the play-by-play duties here, it's unfortunate the Miami record keeping not as tight as the Ohio State record keeping. So there's a lot of numbers that I'm seeing on here that don't correspond to anybody on our sheet, but we're going to do our best as we can here in the broadcast booth for you.
And keep in mind, like last week when our first round with this, our apologies to the Miami players. We'll do the best we can, and hopefully have an opportunity to get those numbers.
Bit of a short pooch kick there.
Yeah.
And number 3, Tucker Berger, is going to get that one. Only get a 5-yard return, but because the kick was so short, they're going to take over at the 38.
Yeah. Alexander Strom on the kickoff for the Buckeyes. And as Patrick said, it was kind of a short pooch kick type of thing. And, years ago, Patrick, when I was coaching, we used to do that commonplace. We would onside kick at any point of the game. That was just kind of our pressure philosophy, is that we weren't just going to kick the ball up to the best athlete on the field and let them return it, whatever the yardage might be.
So we got a 3-by-1 set in shotgun with the running back, number 24, a couple yards deep of the quarterback. So a little bit different, not a pistol, a different formation. We got another offset back to the right.
Yep.
And he's going to drop back, a little bit of a quarterback draw, but that's not going to go anywhere as the Buckeyes take him down.
Yeah, and that is number 43, I believe, for the Buckeyes, who is Chris Kress. Chris Kress steps up and makes the play. Nice job by him.
And we talked a lot about how good the Miami defense is. This Buckeye defense is also equally stout.
Yeah, they've given up 14 this year, and last week they gave up a 2-point safety on a block kick. So, you're right. They are every bit up to Miami's defense.
And Miami's going to come out in the exact same formation here as last play, two on the left, one on the right, offset. And then they're going to send a man in motion, and a bit of a fumble as they tried to hand it off on a jet sweep to the wide receiver, and he's going to lose yards again.
Nice swarming defense by the Buckeyes. Victor Mikas was over there, number 13, Deshaun White. There was a host of black shirts over there waiting, and it's going to be 2nd and long now, Patrick.
Yeah, and from what I was looking through the stats, and it looks like the stats are correct, this is not really a team that you have to worry too much about them in the air. The most passing stats I could find was number 2, Xavier Henry. He was 3 for 8 for 73 yards. That was the extent of his passing statistics in the 2 games that they've played.
Right.
They like to get the guys out in space. Even the wide receiver, that was Matthew Hodge, number 26, and he has better, even though he's nominally a wide receiver, he's got better rushing numbers than he does receiving numbers.
And I noticed that Mike Fenstemaker is now over on defense for the Buckeyes. They're running a 3-5 look now.
And Miami's coming out in the exact same formation. Looks like they have something they want to stick with.
Some outside pressure by the Buckeyes. Fenstemaker and I think that's number 50. We're going to get verified. No, number 40, and that is Dyer Blash. And Dyer and Fenstemaker really flushed him out. And
absolutely. I mean, they did try to drop back and pass there, but the line just couldn't hold up, and they got through almost immediately. Not really much they can do. And the punt unit's coming out.
Yep. So this is probably an unfamiliar situation for the Red Hawks, because I know the Buckeyes haven't punted many times, and I'm sure Miami hasn't punted too many times this year either.
As the number 3 team in the nation, I have to assume that's correct. And he gets a pretty good punt off here, and once again, Deshaun White's going to return. He's got the ball in his hands. We'll see what he can do. Not too much room there, though.
No, not much. He gets it out to about the 9-yard line, and Deshaun, good field position for the Buckeyes at the 50-yard line. And, I just say you come back and keep on doing what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, not to sound, too defeatist for all the listeners here, but, I'm just looking at this Miami team. Even though they're number 3 in the nation, I don't know if they're on this Buckeyes team level. And there's a chance that this could get away from them pretty quickly here. Yeah,
we will see. They definitely are going to have to make Ohio State drive the field if they want to stay in the game. If it's big plays, then it's going to be a long night. Okay, so we're in an offset pistol formation, 2-by-2 receivers. We've got White in motion, and they get the screen out to White. White's over to 50. It's up out to the 40-yard line of the Red Hawks, and that's another first down for the Buckeyes. And that's kind of what we were talking about, is trying to get the ball in his hands.
Exactly. Get him out in space. They did that. Even though it wasn't like the fastest executing play, you just saw the speed and the wiggle that he has, you know, just make a guy miss. And like we talked about earlier, too, the wide receivers, they love to block on this team, and that's a credit to Grega. Because especially at the club level, you know, it's a lot of these players are not thinking like, hey, I really need to block. But Grega has his guys ready to do whatever they need to do.
Absolutely. 3-by-1 set for the Buckeyes. Gerenstein an offset pistol, and they give it to Anelli. Anelli right up the middle, rips up to about the 31-yard line, and it's going to be second and long. And what a great, you know, for an offensive coordinator, second and long, you live for those type of situations because you can do about anything you want right now.
Right, yeah. I mean, take a shot deep, you know, see if you can test, you know, Jeff Green on the jump ball again. Why not? You're almost definitely going to convert because – I mean, the offensive line just opened up a huge hole there, and Anelli hit it with some power.
Absolutely. We've got a change on the offensive line. Number 8, a freshman, Jordan Griffith-Simmon, is playing in place of Mike Fenstermaker, who's playing defense today. So I wanted to give Jordan a shout-out there. Offset I. Gerenstein, he's going deep again to Green, and he's got him. Oh! I think they're going to rule it out of bounds, though.
Yeah, out of bounds.
Almost exactly what we said. They took the shot deep to him, and, you know, Green had him beat. He had him beat pretty badly there. Just a little bit of misplacement on the ball, a little bit too deep, but he almost made a highlight reel catch.
Yeah, if he could have dragged one of those feet in, it would have been a great play. And Gerenstein threw it to the right place. You want to put it on the outside shoulder. It's just a little bit too far outside on that.
A little bit, but, I mean, I don't know. I'm not too convinced at number 6, maybe Tayshaun Huff on the Miami side to be able to stop him, or anybody really to be able to stop Jeff Green. He's got a bit of height on on everybody on that team.
He sure does. And Anelli, and it's, again, it's Gerenstein on the keep, and Gerenstein gets the first down for the Buckeyes down to the Red Hawk 28-yard line. And wow, I mean, the Buckeyes are just churning it out right now, Patrick.
This is some true dedication to football. I mean, these players aren't playing on scholarship. They're out here because they really love the game, and it's freezing cold right now.
So what does that say about our dedication?
I'm just saying, I ain't getting any scholarship money for this.
Yeah, I mean, they're paying to play.
Yeah, that's right. They put good money down for this. So the Buckeyes have a 3-by-1, or 1 to the left, 3 to the right. Offset I. Gerenstein drops. He looks. Oh, nice catch by Jeff Green. The way he used his hands in that was amazing.
Right, yeah, just a little bit of a comeback route. It wasn't exactly right to him, but he went down and he went to get it. And it's a short game, but it was also really fascinating to see Gerenstein. You can tell he's going through progressions, right?
Yes,
you know, he's looking, didn't see the first guy, then goes back to Jeff Green, who, you know, is the star wide receiver on the team. But that's impressive to see.
Yeah. You know, you look for your guy who they call it stick routes. Where's the stick? Who's the guy who's going to get you a few yards closer to where you want to be? 3 to the left, 1 to the right. Gerenstein gives it to Anelli. Anelli off to the right. He bowls down to about the 21-yard line, which will put him about 2 yards short here.
So we got another third down for this Miami team. I feel like third downs are few and far between, so they have to, you know, make these count. They need to get this Buckeye offense off the field whenever they have the possibility to.
There's no doubt about that because, you know, they at least want to limit this to a field goal, if nothing else. I mean, that's because you don't want to get down 2 touchdowns in the first quarter. And there's a little quick screen, and it's Scroggins. And Scroggins, on a nice rocket screen, moves it down to about the 15-yard line, which will be another first down for the Buckeyes.
And it's frustrating because there was a Miami player, number 70, I think it was, Connor Milisovic. He was there to make the play, I think, and he just over-pursued just a little bit and, you know, ended up missing the tackle. And, I mean, that's what we're talking about, right? You can't – when you have the chance to get them on the field like you did right there, you got to take it. And unfortunately, Miami, you can't do it on that one.
Right. 4:07 to go in the first quarter. Ohio State's marching again. They're down to the Red Hawk 15-yard line. 3 to the right, 1 to the left. Gerenstein drops. He rolls to his right. He looks. And, wow, nice shot. And that was Deshaun White. And Deshaun hauled that in. So we may have to take back the things we said about his hands last week. Deshaun made a nice catch there. So
Keeps himself in bounds. And you know what's startling to me is just the amount of plays that the Buckeyes seem to be running. You know,
Yep.
I figured they're going to have like a couple set plays that they're going to go back to, but they are doing things all over. They got shots deep. They have intermediate routes. They have screens, sweeps, read option
Rollouts,
runs, rollouts, exactly.
Yep.
They got everything in the playbook, and this must be a nightmare to play against.
Yep. We've got 2 wides to the left, 1 to the right. True gun. And the first Buckeye miscue as the exchange between Anelli and Garenstein. I think that was probably a read option, which they just didn't make their mind up on that one, and they left the ball on the ground. So the Buckeyes lose a few yards, which is going to make it looks like 3rd and 9. And, really the first stress on the Ohio State offense here.
Absolutely. I mean, they brought in a bigger package, a couple more tight ends there, tried to make something happen there. And, like you said, I think it was just didn't make up his mind quite quick enough, fumbled the exchange there. And 3rd and 9, this could be the longest third down that Miami's going to see. They have to convert on this one.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
Because, you go down 10-0, it's not insurmountable at all. But as soon as it becomes 14-0, 21-0.
Exactly. Fake the Jeff Green on the rocket sweep, and it goes to the middle. Oh, and he underthrows it and almost picked off by the Red Hawks. And they threw it to number 6, who I believe is Justin Cooke. Justin came in as an extra tight end and slipped up the seam, and a little bit higher, I think he might have had a shot at it.
Yeah, I mean, he was definitely... you got to get these balls, especially you want them to be higher than shorter, even if you're going to miss, because like we saw there, that should have been picked off.
Right.
But you got to stop there. Now they're going to kick a field goal, and that's a great stop by Miami's defense.
It is.
Hadn't shown too much resistance, but get a little bit of luck, and they capitalize on the luck.
And the turnover, put the ball on the ground, which wasn't a turnover, but in essence it put him in 4th down. Alexander Strom is in to try his 3rd field goal of the year. And Strom is still perfect on the season.
And that's got to be such a relief for the Buckeyes team to have a kicker so reliable, which I can't say that. I almost can guarantee you that most of these, club teams don't have a kicker who can, is perfect.
I would agree with you on that. And that, I believe, now that would be a 35-yarder. I'll have to look here. I have the stats here somewhere. Yeah, his longest kick of the year was 26, so that sets a new long for him. And, you start getting out around 40 yards, that becomes a pretty vital weapon for any offense.
Absolutely. And, for people at home who have never tried kicking, 35 yards, in the professionals, it's nothing, right? But if you actually go out here and try to kick a 35-yard field goal, it's not easy.
Yeah, it's a little bit harder than people think.
Absolutely.
So that was a field goal, right?
Yeah.
Okay, now they're correcting it on the scoreboard because we have 10-0, and that's what the score is actually. 10-0, Buckeyes in the lead.
With 2:18 to go in the first quarter.
So, this is going to be a big opportunity for Miami to really close this gap. And their offense, we saw nothing from it so far, so nowhere to go but up for them.
I agree. Lorenzo King on the kickoff, and Lorenzo delivers down to about the 8-yard line.
I wonder if that earlier pooch kick was just to try to, lull him into a false sense of security, because he boomed that one.
He sure did. And we saw him last week, and he did have some nice kicks last week. So we know he has the ability, and like you say, he's just probably trying some different stuff out there.
Yeah, the Miami Red Hawks, they do get a return back out to about the 35-yard line. He, made one or two people miss. He could have sprung that, but OSU maintain, discipline and stop him before it gets too bad.
Yep, they sure did.
And then now it's Miami's second time around. We'll see really what they can do.
Yep, and so let's see here. We've got
so we got one by two on the receivers and offset to the left. Pretty much the exact same formation, just flipped. And they're going to try to run the ball with number 24, and he takes a shot.
54 for
that looked painful.
Chase Gasser. Chase has 21 total tackles on the year, and he just added that another one to his head hunting with that hit. That was a nice one there.
Yeah, and unfortunately for this Miami team, we've seen 4 plays from them. We have not seen them gain positive yardage yet. And they have to want to change that as soon as humanly possible.
They seem to want to, in the first drive, they wanted to get wide on the Buckeyes, and I just think with Ohio State's speed, that's not going to happen.
So yeah, like you were talking about that, they seem bigger in the trenches, so maybe they need to utilize that a little bit more.
Right.
We're gonna have 1x2 tight end in motion, and we're gonna try to have a bit of a jet sweep here, and or jet option, excuse me. And once again, that's gonna go pretty much nowhere.
Yeah, the Buckeyes were more than ready for that, and it's going to bring up 3rd and about 12 for Miami.
I know it's not Miami's game, but I feel like they have to try to throw this thing before 3rd down, because it doesn't look like OSU is concerned at all about stopping any sort of pass. They're all cheating in every play.
Yeah, their corner alignment would dictate to you that they don't have much respect for the Miami receivers by the way they're playing it. So you got to loosen them up at some point and take a shot downfield.
Right, and I mean, they're going to have to here, but this is prime sack opportunity.
Oh,
when you have them at 3rd and long, you know they're going to have to throw the ball. You just pin your ears back and you go.
I agree. And I would believe that it looks like the Buckeyes are going to bring some pressure from the middle. Oh!
And they actually do try a run right there.
Yeah, they do.
And, finally they got some positive yardage, but it's not going to be anywhere near enough to get the 1st down, and we're most likely going to get into a punt situation.
And that was a nice hit by number 50 for the Buckeyes, middle linebacker, Xavier Thayer, who hails from Utah.
Bill, sorry.
That's the end of the first quarter there.
All right, Bill, I want to ask you, as you were a coach beforehand, if you're the coach of this Miami team, at what point do you start thinking we just have to go for it on 4th down every time, because 3 downs is not enough for us to move this ball?
Well, I think not yet, but I think, when you get to a point where you might be 3 scores down, then you got to start thinking anytime you get to the 40 or over, you've got to consider it to get back into the game, unless you get some turnovers, and, you can never predict that. But this Ohio State team has, from what we know of them, has not had a penchant to turn the ball over. So, yeah, I would say that you're still looking at maybe mid-first quarter. If the Buckeyes get another touchdown, you got to start taking some chances. And that also means throwing the football too.
Absolutely. So they try a little bit of draw on 3rd down. They finally gain some positive yardage, but nowhere near enough. Like you said, this Buckeye team, they're fast. They're vicious.
Yes, they are.
Some of the hits that they've been laying already, I mean.
And we got another punting situation for
Absolutely.
And, of course, Deshaun White is back deep, and Deshaun is the guy you don't want to have the football on the field, because
he's liable to bust it at any point.
He sure is. Number 80 is going.
Just a reminder, you're watching Miami University at Ohio State University Club Football on CampusNation.com, the Internet Sports Authority. Follow us on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel.
Jeffrey Lee, maybe they're trading some players. Or
Yeah, they made a trade between the first quarter and the second quarter, and there was a couple of Ohio State players that went over to Miami and vice versa.
GM got on the phone and made it happen. You need to get over there right now.
I mean, I think we could see a very competitive game if we, saw the Buckeye offense take on the Buckeye defense.
Now,
that
yeah,
could be extremely interesting.
That would be. Looks like the Buckeyes might bring some pressure in, and indeed they do. Oh. And I don't know how they didn't rough the kicker, but it goes out at the 40-yard line.
I was about to say the same thing. That was incredibly disciplined to not nail the kicker there. I thought that was a running into the kicker or roughing the kicker for sure.
There was 6 coming with bad intentions, and not a single one of them hit him. So that was,
pretty impressive for the punter to keep his composure and get, not the best punt you've ever seen, but given the circumstance.
Hey, any punt that gets over the line of scrimmage is a good punt when you're getting that kind of pressure. So.
I don't know if I'd want any of these people running at me full speed. That's all I have to say.
Sydney, we'll let them know that.
Hide your kids, hide your wives.
And we got series number 3 for the Buckeyes here. And once again, another different look by these Buckeyes.
Yeah, 2 backs flanking Gerenstein. Gerenstein hands it off, and we'll get a number here in a second. And that is number 11 for the Buckeyes. And we don't have 11's number here. And I would imagine that down here we.
Well, you have his number. You don't have his name.
Yeah.
I think he's still number 11.
I think that's actually Ryan Siana.
Siana.
Who I got on my list. He's a sophomore, 5'10", 180.
And I do have him here. He just didn't have a number on the roster. So we've got him. And he is from Frankfort, Illinois. So Ryan gets a little action there.
I love to see how much the Buckeyes are spreading the ball around, too. You know, quite a few members of this team have yards in different ways.
Anelli powers the ball over to 50, just bowls his way down to the 47-yard line of the Red Hawks. And Patrick, what a run, man. He almost lost his britches there in the process.
Sorry for the momentary disruption. We had some equipment fall over on me. That's why I screamed.
You can just
I was like, whoa.
You can really tell Anelli is the type of guy that hates to go down.
Yeah, he does.
He wants to bust one every single time he touches the ball, and he seems mad every time he has to touch the dirt, even after a 15-yard run like he just had.
That's right. He runs with bad intentions there. Okay, so the Buckeyes again line up with backs to the right and left of Gerenstein. Two receivers to the right. Gerenstein gets a quick screen out.
That's a bounce.
Oh, and Deshaun White, he might have been gone on that one if that one had not bounced.
Absolutely. I mean, you saw at Miami, they tried to disguise. They brought some pressure, and that was the exact right call. Against pressure, you have the wide receiver screen. He had acres of space in front of him. It's just a shame that Gerenstein couldn't get it quite to the receiver there, Deshaun White.
Because he had space. And you get those kind of athletes in space, that's not a good thing for the defense.
You know, I think he had like at least 8+ yards before a white shirt would have touched him. So, you know.
Yes. Okay, 2-by-2 set for the Buckeyes. Anelli and the offset gun, and they give it to White on the jet sweep.
Edge.
And they're going to call holding on the edge, but he gets 10 yards on that jet sweep. And I'm pretty sure this is going to be holding on the Buckeyes, but nice play.
Looks like they're backing up. The Buckeyes know, but yeah, I mean, you getting your playmakers out in space. He had the edge. He cuts it up, and that's a 10-yard gain. Unfortunately, it's going to be negated though, but. Like I said, just the myriad looks that this OSU team can give you, different plays, different tricks. I don't know. I think that number 1 rating is well-deserved, and I'd be shocked not to see them in the championship.
Yeah, so would I. And, and I guess, you don't want to be in 2nd and 20 situations, but it does give the Buckeyes things to work on, because when you get in the playoffs, you'll assume you're going to have some games or you're going to have to work through some things. And so this can be a learning experience for them. 2-by-2 set for the Buckeyes. They're back on their own 42. Gerenstein gets a quick out over to Scroggins, and Scroggins works his way to about the 49-yard line. So the Buckeyes will still need about 12 for a first down, but not bad. I mean, better than where they were at. And
yeah, it's 3rd and kind of manageable.
Yeah, and I would say if the Buckeyes now, if they get over to 50, they get down in there and they're 4th and 5, I would expect to see them go for it.
Yeah.
I would think they would at this point.
Keep the pressure on. The one thing I will say about this Miami defense so far is that their tackling is very sure. They're even though OSU's got some shifty athletes, they generally they get them on contact, they gang tackle.
Yep.
At the very least, they're going to have that. So
yeah, their tackling accuracy is definitely pretty good. 2-by-2 set. Gerenstein drops. He looks a little curl route to Scroggins. Scroggins over to 35 to the 30. 25, 20.
He's running.
Cuts back.
He's going
10, 5. Touchdown, Buckeyes.
I think I may have jinxed Miami a little bit there. Just when I was talking about, very sure tackling, you see Scroggins, break a couple there, and or Scroggins break a couple there and take it in for a long touchdown.
But that was good effort by Scroggins. I mean, there was a lot of nice moves there, and the Buckeyes take a 16-0 lead at 12:02 to go in the second quarter. And, Patrick, now we talked about when does Miami push the panic button. Oh,
now might be a good time.
Well, it looks like they're coming back.
Yeah. So we're going to
they
have to take the 6 off.
Take the 6 off here, and I just missed that whole thing there, guys.
I know. I don't know what happened.
I didn't see a flag at all.
I didn't see any laundry go down on the field.
I thought Scroggins did a really good job of finding the space in between, in between the Miami defensive backs. I mean, there was 4 guys, around him, but he was in the exact right spot. Guaranteed delivers a perfect ball. And
I know what the penalty was, guys. Ohio State didn't have enough guys on the line of scrimmage. If you remember, they had 2 wideouts up there who were both off the line, and I think they got called for illegal procedure on that.
And, I mean, yeah, that's why so often you see these wide receivers, they point to the ref to make sure that they are on. And sometimes, these things fall by the wayside. But like you said, things to work on.
Fake the jet sweep, and Gerenstein does well to get back to the 40-yard line. It's going to be a loss of about another 3 yards.
So, I mean, that's 2 self-inflicted drive stops by OSU, and Miami's doing a great job to take advantage of it, but they're letting Miami hang around. That's what I'll say.
And that's dangerous. With any team, if you have a chance to step on a team's throat, you want to do it, especially in a championship game.
Don't get too comfortable.
Right. I mean, we were talking so much about how OSU, by all accounts, is outplaying Miami by quite a lot, but they're letting them hang around, and that punt's almost blocked. And we talked about, too, OSU's probably not very used to punting the ball.
No. Lorenzo King gets the punt off, gets a nice Buckeye roll down to the 12-yard line, and so that's where Miami starts. So they didn't do Miami any favors there, and they've got to be really careful with ball security here because Ohio State could, press them back to the goal line, and a turnover here can be, very deadly for the Red Hawks.
Yeah, Lorenzo King, Italy, that's definitely a soccer land out there, and I feel like you can see some of that where he's got a leg.
Yes, there was a nice kick by Lorenzo, and so the Buckeyes are just getting ready to settle in on defense here.
A little different kind of football.
Yeah.
Yes. Well,
Football.
Football.
All right, so we haven't seen Miami's offense really amount to anything. They're going to come out in the exact same formation, essentially, that they've been running this entire time, 2 to the right or to the left, and then, 1 receiver. So 3 wide receiver set with the back a couple yards behind, single back a couple yards behind the quarterback. They're going to move a wide receiver in motion, quarterback keeper, and, they're going to get
some offensive yardage.
3 to 4.
Yeah.
And technically, you stack that up, that's a first down, and that would be their first down if they do manage to get it. So I feel like you got to start somewhere, and I think that's where Miami needs to start.
Right. And I am a little bit surprised the Buckeyes are staying with the 3-man front, although they're probably anticipating Miami's going to have to throw at some point. But, if they want to run the ball, Ohio State has a wealth of talent there that they could, they go to a 4-man front. It's going to be hard for Miami to handle them.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of defensive backs. You got a couple guys, just a lot of linebackers roaming the seams. But, Miami, they got a formation. They like to stick with it. They're going to stick with it again. Try to have some trickery. The left-handed quarterback, though, is going to have to just try to throw this one away. And that was extremely close to a safety.
It was. And, I was thinking, if you're in the end zone and you ground the ball, it's going to be a safety for the defense. So he was real close because that guy was clearly out of bounds that he threw the ball to. But
I mean, you show some guts by sticking with it that long, but I mean, I think the smart play would have been to bail on that play a little bit earlier than he did.
I agree with you.
As soon as you're out of the pocket, I think he needed to throw that thing away instead of extending it as long as he did. But he's going to get away with it, but now you got a 3rd and 7 situation, and 7 yards is more than Miami has gained.
Yes, yeah. So they're going to have to figure this one out if they're going to get back into this. And we've yet to see them really take a shot downfield. So
yeah, I mean, the 2 times they've tried to throw, just the pressure came immediately, and
offside.
Got to jump. OSU's going to say that they jumped first, but
I think it's going to probably go against Ohio State because there was contact made. Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like OSU's backing up. So penalties, really the killer for OSU so far.
Yeah, it's not been a clean game from that standpoint, and that was something we didn't see last week because we didn't see many penalties. That was Chase Gasser who got off early on that and tried to get a little jump on things.
So not a automatic first down, just a 5-yard penalty, but they are very close.
Yeah, and this is where you were talking about when do you start thinking about, taking chances. Let's see what happens here with this play.
And they're going to line up that exact same formation, 2 to the left, 1 to the right this time, and quarterback keeper, and he's going to get the first down.
First down. And gets hit extremely hard by a bunch of Buckeyes.
He's going to pay for that first down, but I think he's happy.
Got the initial first down there, and that makes Miami feel really good.
Yeah, hopefully you can build on that, get a little bit of momentum going. And once again, despite how well OSU has looked at times, this is only a 10-0 game.
Yes. And I think that was Scroggins that it looks like he's leaving the game there. Got his bell rung a little bit when he came up on that tackle. And Scroggins had that nice touchdown that wasn't. So, the Buckeyes don't want to lose him for any period of time.
Yeah, I mean, especially if this, your best athletes, you probably try to put them on the field however you can. And, a lot of these guys are playing double duty.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt about it.
I mean, we see, Deshaun White, on number 13 playing cornerback as well.
Yeah, and Mike Fenstermaker, who has been playing defense this week, he was playing offense last week for him. So
I think Dier Blash also plays.
Dier Blash has played both ways. You know, a number of the receivers play both ways. So, yeah, and in this type of situation, you got to be ready to go. But, you know, Bill Belichick's done that with New England for years. He looks for those multi-talented players who, hey, can you run down on kickoff? Can you play DB in a long situation where we need to get an extra DB in there? So it's always helpful to have those guys that come in. And, you know, they were talking about Chase Young as should Ohio State line him up at tight end and get him the ball once or twice in his quest for the Heisman Trophy. So, you know.
Yeah, and I think, you know, something that Bill Belichick has said, too, is that it just really helps to play the position from the other side, right?
Yes.
If you're a wide receiver, if you played a couple snaps at DB, you know then what beats you, right? Or, you know, what what the DB is trying to do to you if you play it yourself. So.
Exactly.
So now we're going to see a different look for wide receivers here, but it's still going to be a run. They can keep it on the ground and get just about nothing.
And the Buckeyes mutilate the inside. That's Chase Gasser again, and he's controlling the middle there. And that was, let's see, the defensive end on that side, I get his number here, was in there with Gasser. Yeah, it's Victor Micus. They were both in on that tackle, and that broke down pretty quick there, Patrick.
Right. I mean, they tried a bit of a different look, try to get this OSU offense off guard, but once again, they have not completed a pass. So until they do, I feel like OSU's not really going to care what kind of alignment they're coming out in.
There's no fear of them throwing right now. Oh, and
they're going to try to pass here. There's a man in the backfield. Can't get it. And finally a completed pass. I didn't know exactly who that was going to go to.
They might be listening to us in their headsets.
There was, 6 OSU players, 6 Miami players all in the same area, and then a Miami player does come down for their first pass completion. So this and another first down. So you got some momentum, and this might open up the game for Miami.
Yes. DeJuan Seward was the one that knocked the receiver out of bounds. And, they blitzed Corey Lackey, and Lackey almost had the quarterback, but he tossed it up, and they were able to complete it. So another first down for the Red Hawks.
As a running quarterback, as Xavier Henry, I'm assuming that's who it is, it's not easy to get these guys.
Yeah.
And
it looks
the
like
ball
a fumble.
is loose after, oh, my goodness. Number 24, who, doesn't have a number here, but I'm going to assume it's Ryan Brewster. That's their leading rusher coming into the game. He takes a massive shot and just cannot hold on to the ball, and I don't blame him.
Yeah, my biggest issue with Ohio State is the dark numbers on the dark jerseys. Make it hard on that far side of the field to see them. But other than that, that was just a great defensive play. And
so Miami is going to end up, luckily, able to recover the ball, but they lost, 5 yards or so on that huge hit, and now we got second and long.
Okay, and so the Buckeyes line up again there, and
so they're in their base set. They're going to move a man in motion. They're going to hand it off on a sweep here, and got a couple, 3 or 4.
Yes, indeed, and it looks like that was number 50 again. Yes, it was, and that is Xavier Thayer.
I think he's the leading tackler for this OSU team, and you see why. He's everywhere.
Yeah, Xavier's a good-looking athlete out there.
Last game that OSU played, the team, was it Wittenberg who they played last
Wright
week?
State.
Or Wright State, excuse me. They forfeited due to injuries, I believe. And see how vicious this Buckeye team tackles, I can see why.
Yeah, they play at a different level on defense. And most of these teams are just not ready for that.
So Miami's out there in their base set.
Oh, shovel pass.
Shovel pass to the tight end, and he loses the ball too. But Miami's going to come up with it again.
And it's an incomplete pass. It was a shovel pass.
I see. Okay.
So the officials are right on it at that. And we used to run that, and that was one of the reasons we used to like to run the shovel pass, is because it's kind of a safe play. We would also tell the kids if they felt pressure to drop the ball. And then that way it would just be an incomplete pass and it'd come back to the line of scrimmage. Of course, that's assuming the officials get the call right, so that can always be a little bit of a...
But yeah, the shovel pass to the in-motion tight end, not going to work there. 4th and long, and they're going to go ahead and punt this one because, like we said, it's only 10-0. No time to push the panic button just yet.
Right. Okay, so
they're
DeJuan White. Oh. And, okay. Oh, and White gets up to the 40.
Oh, my
He's
goodness.
got the sideline. 50, 45. Well, he just didn't. He was going so fast, he just didn't have that cutback lane. But I'll tell you what, that was very close.
You got to see him finally accelerate to his top speed, and
Yeah.
it was something else. And I think, although once again, I think the Buckeyes a little bit fortunate not to get a running into the kicker there.
I agree with you, and I was wondering if they were going to get that, but
Yeah, I heard you pause, waiting for the flag to come
Yeah.
out, but OSU may be a little bit fortunate there. Not that a running into the kicker would have given them the first down anyways. It's just
Right.
5 yards, would have been roughing,
Right. But it would have been a momentum thing for them. Okay, so the Buckeyes have 2 to the right and 1 to the left. They've got 2 backs flanking Gerenstein. Gerenstein fakes to Anelli. He's going down the middle.
He's got a man.
And I
He's got
believe
it.
it's White, and it is. It's Deshaun White. And we saw the speed there, Patrick.
Absolutely. I mean, he had his man burnt by quite a bit there. The ball delivered a little bit behind him, but it didn't matter. The quarterback got it in the spot that he needed to get it to, and long touchdown on the first play.
And nice arm strength by Gerenstein. I mean, he was on the 45-yard line and nearly threw that all the way down to the goal line. So, nice throw. The Buckeyes get 6 more, and with 5:59 to go in the second period, Ohio State takes a 16-0 lead. And so we will see where Miami goes with this now.
So, I mean, you're putting the offense back on the field very quickly, but the OSU defense also back on the field very quickly. Not a lot of time to rest for them, so maybe Miami can try to get something going here.
And there is the kick. And Strom is still perfect on the season.
Kicks that one into Buckeye Grove.
He got it into the Grove over there.
So, I mean, that just shows you the kind of arm strength he has, and every single kick pretty much right down the middle for this guy.
He's a nice kicker. He really is. I'm kind of surprised that he didn't entertain maybe some small school possibilities. But you come to Ohio State, you come here for education, and same thing if you go to Division III. You're not necessarily going there to be an All-American in football.
Right. You're probably not going to make it to the next level.
Right.
Might as well. Why not? Especially with the level that this OSU club team is playing. It's almost just like, why not just come here and play football and you have this nice, beautiful campus?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And their uniforms, they're well dressed. Although I will say, Wright State had nice uniforms. Miami has nice uniforms. Doing semi-pro football for a few years, we saw some good uniforms, but we saw some bad uniforms at the same time.
Yeah, it doesn't. Sometimes they don't necessarily need to have the exact same thing,
No,
wearing the same thing either.
Looks kind of different. So kick down to the 10-yard line by Strom.
He's looking a little bit hesitant to where he wants to go, but he's going to manage to get his way to the 35-yard line. So not a bad return once again. And
Yeah, he picked his way through there pretty effectively, I thought. And,
yeah, a lot of times you see these kick returns, they just try to get a head full of steam as soon as possible. He kind of took a more hesitant approach while the blocks get set up and comes out to an okay return.
And they end up getting drilled. Doubt it, but
It's almost like if you're touching the ball on the Miami offense, you're going to get drilled at some point because this Buckeye defense, they're flying out there.
yeah, for sure.
I think these guys practice a little more than some of the semi-pro teams.
Yeah, I probably show up for practice. So the Buckeyes bring a.
So it looks like Miami's coming with a little bit of a heavier set unless they just didn't have an extra guy on the field. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
They were trying to line up in their base set. They were missing a wide receiver, have to call a timeout to get him now on the field.
Well, and I noticed the Buckeyes brought a fourth line or an outside linebacker up on the line of scrimmage, giving them a 4-man look, which I don't know if Miami was thinking this is not right. So
Yeah, so Miami's going to take, I don't know, their first or second time out of the game. Somebody took a timeout earlier, right? But I'm not exactly sure who it was.
yeah, I did not mark that down.
But we're going to,
And our scoreboard is not the high-tech variety, which lets us,
yeah.
which gives us the timeout situation.
So it is still 17-zip. We've seen a little bit more life out of this Miami offense in their last drive, but still ended up amounting to nothing. A couple fumbles here or there, really killed them. But, I mean,
agree.
there was some positive momentum before those, so I'm sure they'll love to build on it.
Well, I think the offensive line showed a little life that last series, which, we talked about. That seems to be their strength. And again, they try to come up, but, nope.
the running back makes a couple people miss, but he's still not going to be able to get anywhere. I mean, the offensive line, they were in the backfield almost before the running back touched the ball.
Yeah, and when, he bounced that thing to the outside, that was number 43, Chris Kress. When he bounced it, and this comes back to what we said earlier, when they've tried to get outside on the Buckeyes, you're just not going to outrun this team.
Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, so you can't go to the outside, but then your inside seems to kind of be getting dominated by even smaller defensive linemen on the Buckeyes. So then you can't go outside, you can't go inside.
And that's the thing, is that if you can't control that front three with your 5, now you're going to have problems because they'll be just overplaying the outside. Okay.
We're going to have a pass here, roll out to the right, but he's a left-handed guy. Going to make a couple of misses. He's going to try to throw this thing, and can't quite get it complete.
Well, both times he's rolled to the left. He had the one completion, which was surprising to say the least, and that time he almost completed that one too.
Yeah, I mean he's got a good ability to keep the play alive. There's people hounding him. There's Buckeyes that are hounding him. He's making a couple people miss. He's keeping the play alive. The receivers are sticking with their routes, and I mean the receiver probably it was a tough ball. It was low, but he should probably come up with that, especially when these opportunities are so few and far between.
Right, and I think the Buckeye defense needs to slow play this a little bit. Get to the base of the offensive line and flow down the line of scrimmage instead of coming like a bullet right upfield, because that's allowed the quarterback to get around him a couple times.
Contain the QB, and if anything, don't force him left, force him right, because he's a left-handed guy, right? So we saw the initial play design was a roll out to the right.
Right.
He doesn't look comfortable rolling out to the right, which most
so he turns and goes to his left.
Yeah, it turns and goes to the left. So, and he's managed to make things happen doing that.
Yes, he has. To his credit, he has when he's on the run to the left, which, I guess at halftime when you go in, if you're Miami, maybe you look at that and say, okay, what can we do with this? Because when we've rolled to the left, he's had some success. Mm-hmm. So maybe that'll be something they'll talk about and try to design something that could get their offense going.
So it's going to be third and extremely long, about 15 yards here. So unless you can get some sort of big run, you're most likely going to have to pass.
I agree, and Ohio State will obviously be laying back on this, so they've got to be careful that they don't put it up for grabs.
So we got a single or two to the left and one to the right. He's going to drop back.
Dyer Blash bringing pressure in the middle,
and the quarterback's just going to try to run Xavier Henry, and nothing going there, and got a couple yards, but it's not going to be anything enough to stop a punt. It's a not punt.
Yeah.
I mean, we're talking about, at a certain point, you're down 17-0, your offense isn't getting much going. Eventually, you're going to have to start going for it on fourth down, but This is too much.
Yeah. That was Mike Fenstemaker and Chase Gasser converging on that tackle or sack of the quarterback. But I tell you, the real pressure came from Dyer Blash. He came hard through the C gap and was forcing the quarterback couldn't go to his left, which forced him to step up into the pocket, and that's when Fenstemaker and Gasser were able to close the door on him.
Right. I mean, maybe the quarterback is a little skittish because he is a runner, probably a runner first and a passer second, but, it's not like he's getting a ton of time, even if he tried to stay in longer.
Yes. Okay, so we've got 3:44 to go in the second period.
And some bad news is it's starting to rain, so...
So we
are not undercover in a press box, so we can't have equipment in the rain.
As long as we don't want to get electrocuted.
Yeah, it's probably a good thing.
I mean, not that it would hurt at this point, but,
Yeah.
Campus Nation can't bring more broadcasts if we're all electrocuted.
This is all metal, by the way.
Exactly. We're standing in a metal tower, so...
Yeah,
there's that.
That's exciting.
Looking out here, too, there's a pretty decent crowd for this, OSU team looking out to my left and to my right. There's quite a few people watching in interest of this game, and it's nice to see for sure.
Yep. So we've got Deshaun White about the 50-yard line for the Buckeyes. I might just, if I'm Ohio State, instead of going for the block, I might just try to set up a return for him.
Yeah, I think that's actually a really good point. I mean, they're getting pretty close to these blocks, and,
right.
I feel like it does seem like it's coming where they might get one, but at the same time, you have such a dangerous weapon here. Yeah. Just drop these guys back. Give him one less person in his way. And
give him time to catch the ball.
Yeah.
And then if he can catch the ball, then you've got an opportunity to, he was on the 50. He's, going to get 10 yards most likely, and you're going to be in really good position, which they are still right here.
Yeah, I mean, they're affecting the punts, so the punts are short. But, I mean, because the punts are so short, that he doesn't even have a chance to really catch it. So it's almost like
you're taking a weapon out of your hand.
Yeah.
So here we go. The Buckeyes are in 3 to the left, 1 to the right.
So I'll take a shot deep on the first play after getting the ball last time.
Yeah, Gerenstein, he looks, and you are absolutely Green, what a phenomenal catch down to the 25-yard line. A quick slant by Gerenstein, and Green went up and grabbed it and just came down on the run and was able to advance it to the 25. Big play for the Buckeyes right off the bat.
Yeah, and great spin move there to make a man miss. And Gerenstein's really getting himself going here, too.
Yeah.
I think last week we were talking about how they must take dance classes. They got these moves.
He was pirouetting out there again.
Like, okay, I see you in your chalet.
We got 3 to the left, 1 to the right. Gerenstein gives the ball off, and I think that's number 11 again, which is Siana. And Ryan Siana, the sophomore from Frankfort, Illinois, who went to Lincoln Way East High School.
Yeah, and they got a couple of people, different people running the ball. A lot of different receivers. It's just a spread offense, truly.
Well, true, and you have to get these younger guys some carries because they are pretty senior heavy. A lot of 50-year seniors on this team. So Gerenstein in the offset pistol. And he keeps it on the read option, and he is gone 25 yards right up the middle. And, wow, he is a magician with the ball in his hands.
What a great, once again, perfectly executed read option. The entire Miami defense that got through collapsed on the running back. He just pulls it and shoots up, and he's got some wheels too.
Yes, he does. And so Gerenstein leads the Buckeyes down to another score with 2:15 to go in the second period, and it is 23-0 Ohio State. And for the Red Hawks, they're not used to having any points scored on them.
Yeah, I have to imagine though that in the preparation of this game, they knew that this OSU team was on a different level, and that they were not going to pitch a shutout. I don't know if they quite expected it to be this bad,
right?
But yeah, I think they're slamming the panic button pretty soon here. And another kick.
Strom still perfect on the season. 14 for 14.
I wonder if, some OSU coaches are out here in case Blake Hobbiel gets injured. Strom, man, you're up.
You're up, buddy. We need you. Well, and, we had read some stuff about where they are getting about a kid a year over to the Ohio State football program. They're getting a tryout as a walk-on over there. And I would say, but that would be your greatest hopes that one of these guys – Ryan Day would come down here and say, hey, we'd like you to come over and give it a shot on the varsity football team over there. And they've had a few kids. There's a few kids here that would, be able to give you some depth. And I know Ohio State 2 weeks ago announced that they were adding a walk-on. Now, what I don't know is if he was a member of this team or not, but he was granted preferred walk-on status, which gives you a little bit more stuff when you get to go to training table, you can travel with them and things like that. So, I think that's a great point that can be an opportunity for these guys. And that ball is down to about the 10. Miami returns it.
That sounded painful.
I think that might be Thayer again. It is. And that is Xavier Thayer, the middle linebacker, and he let him know he was there.
He's laid.
In case you forgot.
He's laid a couple big hits, and he's continuing to do that.
In case you forgot who I am, I'm just going to let you know.
I'll Thayer you here.
He's got the hit stick turned on. Then.
Yeah, he got Thayered.
Oops, Thayer it is.
oh, there we go.
Hope I don't get dinged by YouTube. You're in the big time when you get puns made about you on Campus Nation.
That's right. That's right.
But Miami's going to come out in their very regular set. One back behind, one receiver to the left, two wide receivers to the right. And looks
two
like
mi-
a little
that's-
bit of confusion with who was supposed to be in motion there, and but they're going to run. Actually, they're going to throw it deep. Bit of a trick play. They have him, and that's
my
a touchdown.
goodness.
A long touchdown
I did not see that
by
coming.
Miami of Ohio, and that's
There's a
great
flag
play.
on the
But
field.
They're going to call illegal shift.
oh man, that is
So does it
painful
still
to
count?
see.
No,
Okay.
no.
I just want to make sure our scoreboard was right.
That is a shame. I think we're Ohio State fans for the most part, but that was a really well designed play where they fake the run, the option run like they've done so many times. They have him rolling out to his left while he's doing it though, and then they just send their fastest guy straight down the field, and he had him beat. Beautiful tracking of the ball as it was in the air by the wide receiver.
He ran the ball down. The ball was just laid up there, and they said, you run under it, and he did. I think the thing there is that what we have said earlier about maybe looking second half, we can roll to the left. We have an opportunity, and we saw it right there.
Yeah, and maybe Xavier Henry, maybe not the most accurate guy, but he can throw on the run, and he's got an arm because he flung that thing quite deep.
Yes, he did.
And we got just a running play here, and man, the running game is just not working at all. Really.
The Buckeyes, it's number 54 again, and that is Chase Gasser. And Gasser he's at a game there in the middle for the Buckeyes.
Yeah, I mean the middle of the defense, the spine of the defense, getting a lot of work because, like you said,
Thayer,
going
Xavier
to the
Thayer.
outside is pretty much fruitless. You might as well try your luck inside, but the inside guys
they're tough.
Yeah, they're extremely tough. But it's coming down kind of hard now. It might be.
So the Buckeyes, we're getting there towards halftime.
It's definitely raining now.
And
Bit of a high snap there. They're going to have a quarterback
it is
run.
coming down.
And, it's coming down. It's going to be 3rd and long. If you never hear from us again.
We got struck by lightning on Lincoln Tower
The Buckeyes were up 24-0 when it was all
outside
said
of
and
the
done.
horseshoe at Ohio State
At
University.
the end of the broadcast, it was 24-0 at that time.
Signing off now and forever.
What?
Okay, maybe just for a little bit, all right?
1:02 to go here in the half. Ohio State leads 24-0, and we'll see where we're going with this whole thing here. I don't know what we can do, guys, if we.
We might just have to break it down for a little and try to put it back up in a little.
Are we better off up if we want to hire?
I don't know. I don't think it's covered at any part.
Well, it is covered up higher, and there is they usually do film up there. There's no film. But once again, we'll just
We
have
have
to,
these open electrical wires.
we'll have to survey the situation
Yes.
here with a minute to go in this game or in this first half.
Buckeyes showing a little bit of a blitz here. They're coming with the pressure.
and they come
Quarterback drops back. They're going to try a big
Picked off
Okay.
the Buckeyes.
Good thing we didn't
Was that-
shut down 20 seconds earlier.
Number 14, Adam Bardak.
So the tight end getting to show his hands a little bit. And, I mean, that play kind of looked doomed from the start. They try to get a screen going, but
He's the president, correct?
Yes,
doesn't-
he's the president of the team, yeah.
he just doesn't seem very comfortable
We've got a
throwing to
deluge
the right.
now, don't we?
Okay, so
We're going to
It's,
have to.
coming
we're
down for real
gonna
now.
delay the
We really gotta
broadcast
go.
here.
But we're gonna leave it at 30-0 pending the extra point.
Yes, so we will see what happens here, and
Thanks for joining us so far.
and